Hello, Mindset Recovery friends. It is March the 7th, 2023, and I am celebrating 10 months of continuous clean time from all substances. And this is quite an achievement for me, considering the fact that I've tried to do this in and out of the program, multiple 12-step programs, religious programs, medicines, therapy for 3 decades, over 3 decades, without any success for more than short periods of time. However, I was exposed to this program when I was in my early 20s. I'm currently 55 years old. And I knew that this program was going to be the only way I was going to be able to get clean deep in my heart. But because I'm an addict and I thought that I could figure it out myself, I struggled trying all different kinds of strategies that did not work, including using different combinations of drugs, trying to only use certain drugs, trying to only use on certain times of the week. And, all of that was failed strategy until I hit bottom in 2019, had a stroke, and was still unable to arrest this disease under my own power. And I realized that the only way that I was going to be able to live was if I were to get back in this program and actually work it the way that people had been suggesting to me in the rooms for over 30 years. So, with that, I started off in outpatient rehab where I had some accountability with having to take drug tests. And so that helped me stay clean for, at least a month at a time. Got out of that program after, I don't know, 9 months or so. And, you have to have a treatment plan when you get out. 12-step programs were highly suggested. The place that I went, I started off because I had gone to AA before. Started off going to AA meetings with a peer support specialist while I was in the treatment center and got a sponsor in that program. I like the AA program. It's basically the same program in my opinion. The difference for me was when I got linked up with the NA program, I felt the connection with the members of that program in my community and began to get plugged in and have intimate relationships with other people in the program, which was something that I actually had never had in my life. Intimate relationships. Had the sex part down, but as far as being vulnerable and showing my real self and caring about other people in a relationship, sexual or otherwise, I didn't know how to do that. I had people that I got high with and I had people that I had sex with, but people that I sold drugs to, what have you, bought drugs from, but never true intimate human relationships, which is what I believe is something that I needed in order to grow spiritually, which is what this program is all about. What I've learned through NA is that I need a spiritual connection to a higher power of my understanding. Spending time fostering that relationship gives me strength and power that I lack on my own. The way that I do that is through following spiritual principles, which are introduced to me in the 12 steps of NA. All 12-step programs based on AA 12 steps are designed to accomplish this. But, it says in our literature, if you want what we had and you were willing to go to any length to get it. Well, I know one thing. If somebody had something that I wanted when I was using, I was willing to go to any length to get it. I would call and bug them. I would track them down. I would scrape up money. I would drive, whatever I had to do to get what I wanted, I was willing to do it. But in this program for 30 years, I wanted what the people had. I wanted to be happy, joyous, and free instead of miserable, sick, and not free. in bondage, but I wasn't willing to do what I needed to do, which was get some discipline, spend some time doing things that people who had time clean in the program were telling me that they did, being willing to follow suggestions, being willing to make time to go to meetings. They started off with 90 meetings in 90 days. That sounded so stupid to me because I was like, well, how's that going to help me? I liked to go to meetings when I had time to, when it was convenient, when I thought it was a good idea. But what I didn't realize is early in recovery, I needed to make a commitment to that because I needed to change people, places, and things. And if I'm spending time going to meetings and making time to follow that commitment, I'm learning how to participate in my recovery. Also, going to 90 meetings in 90 days, I got to know people in the program because I had to build a network. Because one of the main things that I had been failing to do for 30 years was get linked up with other people who understood the way my brain worked, because I have a disease called addiction that's trying to kill me. And so when I call somebody, the program says it's very therapeutic, one addict helping another. But I know that when an addict calls me and says, "Hey, I'm struggling with so and so," I understand that because that's something that I've gone through, and something lights up in me, and I can share experience, strength, and hope with them, and it gives me strength to want to stay clean another day. When I'm in a meeting and somebody comes in there fresh off the front lines and shares about how they're struggling with whatever substance it is and unmanageability of life, that helps me remember what led me into these rooms so I don't get complacent and say, "Oh, you know what? I got 10 months clean. I don't need to come to meetings anymore. I don't need to call people. I got this." That is the first step in me going back to the way things used to be, where I was unhappy for 30 years and miserable, destroying my life, not taking personal responsibility. And so, 90 meetings in 90 days, getting a network of people, spending time in NA literature, and spending time in prayer and meditation to the God of my understanding, which is not necessary for anyone to have a God of anyone else's understanding. It's just, you work on that relationship. It sounds complicated. It sounds religious, but it's not a religious program. Um, it's something that I had to experience to really understand it. I had a God of my understanding, and I thought that I had a relationship with that higher power, but it turns out that I was my higher power, and the higher power that I believed in was supposed to do what I wanted them to do to help me and keep me from having any negative consequences for doing whatever the heck I wanted to do. And, my higher power doesn't work that way. And so then I was all butthurt over it because my higher power wasn't doing what I wanted that higher power to do. And then I had resentments towards that higher power. And then I blamed using on that higher power because it wouldn't stop me from having negative consequences. It wouldn't stop me from doing things I didn't want to do. That's my personal story. But now I have a different relationship. I have a conscious contact with that higher power. So when things start to go sideways, I have people in the program that I can call. I have a conscious contact, which gives me intuition into maybe how to handle a situation. I have experience from being in situations like that previously and knowing what doesn't work. So maybe I can do something different, because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I have been the king of that in my life. I never got along well with bosses. Well, I am currently going through a situation. Even though I've been doing really well, I still have a boss who I don't get along with, and I think is a knucklehead. I always think that I'm smarter than my bosses. May or may not be true in many cases, but if you've ever had a boss, I don't think it matters whether you are not more intelligent than that boss. They are your boss, and You're not going to score any points with them by trying to force them to do anything. That's been my experience. Trying to get them in trouble has not worked for me. Trying to get them to see my way has not done any good for me. So now, because of that experience, being in that situation, I have decided to handle it differently and not participate in the chaos and the unmanageability of that person's life. And as long as I just stay concerned with myself and do what I know is the next right thing to do, it doesn't really matter. I can't get in trouble if I don't do anything wrong. If I do my job, if I don't give them a hard time, then I don't encourage them to lean on me and make my life more miserable. I continue to have a job. I continue to get paid. And, everything continues to go the way it's supposed to go. And so what I'm doing is I weighed 305 pounds the day before I had my stroke. I have drastically changed my diet, and I can't really exercise much because my stroke left me disabled. And so that is not a way that I do minimally do some walking here and there, stretching, things of that nature. But mostly I have changed my diet because the reason I weighed 305 pounds is because I didn't eat well. And I was pouring alcohol on my problems, and alcohol is empty calories. This generally led to me drinking alcohol right close to time to go to bed. I'm the kind of person that alcohol gives me lack of self-control, and I like to eat. So then I would often binge eat after I had drank alcohol, adding fuel to the fire of obesity. So now that I am, working a program and living my life and applying discipline to my problems and turning around my health challenges, I've reversed my type 2 diabetes. I've reversed my fatty liver disease. My blood pressure's coming down. I feel a heck of a lot better. I'm way less at risk to have another stroke. If my blood pressure continues on this course, I've gotten off of some of my diabetes medication. I've gotten off of some of my blood pressure medication. I do know that I cannot work this program by myself. I need the support of other addicts, primarily my sponsor, but also other people in my network. But what I do know, and I was talking to another addict today after a meeting, is even though I cannot stay clean by myself, I can mess things up all by myself. I still have crazy thoughts every once in a while to go out and do things that I shouldn't do, drugs, whatever it is. But today I can see the error of that. I can think it through to the end of the movie, the tape, whatever you want to call it, and see based on my past experiences where that's led me to. And I'm not chained to using against my will. I can make a different decision today. So, I'm grateful that I have 10 months clean. I'm working towards getting an accreditation for a new line of work that I can do that's less physically taxing. My relationships with my family members have greatly improved. I have an 18-year-old son who is challenging because he is 18 years old. And I can make that situation a lot worse by I used to use to deal with the unmanageability of that relationship, didn't make it more manageable. Just made me sicker, and it made our relationship worse, and it poured fuel on the fire again. I have a daughter who just turned 34 years old. I have 4 grandkids. My relationship with her was civil. I mean, I believe she cared about me. I don't think she had a whole lot of respect for me as a person. I could be wrong. That's just my belief. But I do know that she's told me that I'm finally growing up. So, that's a positive thing. If my 34-year-old daughter thinks that I'm maturing, that tells me that something different is going on. I actually got to go over to her house the other night on her birthday and babysit for my 4 grandchildren who vary in age from 18 months up to 13 years. order pizza, hang out, play video games. Not like I was the kind of guy that used to be, she'd think I was going to break in her house, but I don't think she would have trusted me with her kids for 3 or 4 hours while she went out to dinner. Maybe she would have. I don't know. But, what I know is that today she trusts me to do that. No, nobody burned the house down. Everything was cool. My grandson decided the oldest one wanted to come back to my house and spend the night with me and my son. She let him come to our house, trusting that nothing crazy is going to be going on here. I'm not going to let him be exposed to anything that she wouldn't approve of. We had a good time. He spent the night. I took him home the next day. But life is definitely getting a lot better for me. And I know that if it wasn't for this program, if I had continued on the path that I was on and in the beginning of 2020, I probably wouldn't be alive right now. I know that I wouldn't be happy, joyous, and free right now. I'm learning through the steps, the things that, I know now that I'm the problem. And I'm learning, I had a quote that I saw the other day in one of my old videos from a show that I saw. And this person in Narcotics Anonymous said to another person in there that it's no mystery why we used. We used because we were trying to cover up pain. The mystery was, where was the pain coming from? And what I know is that the steps uncover why I was so unhappy, why I was feeling mental pain, why I was feeling spiritually bankrupt. And they give me a path towards correcting those things. And for me, it's been a spiritual program in connection with a power greater than myself and other people. So, what I know is that this program works. I always knew that it could work because I saw people that evidence that fact to me that had changed their lives drastically. But it takes effort. And it doesn't take nearly as much effort for me to put substances in my body and not give a rat's behind about whatever it is that's bothering me for a short period of time. It's expensive and it's unhealthy, but it's not difficult and it doesn't take a lot of effort. Whereas this program, it's simple, but it isn't easy. It takes work. I've had to use discipline to spend time working steps, going to meetings. When I want to use, I have to figure out another way to deal with my issue other than getting high. So, I mean, it's not rocket science, but it does take applying the things that I'm learning in these rooms. So if you're, here for the first time and listening to this and the sound of my voice, I would like to encourage you to explore this option and be open-minded to the fact that, it works. Going to meetings don't cure you, but you get to hear the message and you get some hope, because I know I was hopeless. So when they say doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results is insanity. Well, what's worse than insanity? Because at least if you're expecting different results, you may be wrong and you may be disappointed. But I had done this for over 30 years, so I knew what the results were going to be. And I was hopeless because I was willing to continue to do things that I knew were not working to get a little bit of relief for short periods of time from the mental and spiritual pain that I was feeling. And, now I know that there's a new way. And NA promises that any addict can lose the desire to use and find a new way to live. And that has been the case for me. I have lost the desire to use. Every once in a while, my brain still comes up with great ideas of how we can make it work. But I don't have to listen to that nonsense today. I can say, yeah, okay, well, we've tried all this dumb stuff for 30 years and it didn't work. Why is it going to work now? And say, you know what does work? And do the things that I know work. And my experience has been that if I continue to do what I know I'm supposed to do and I put in the effort, that my life has steadily improved. So this is Roberto getting ready to sign off. fight the good fight. If you need to contact me, the best way would be my personal email address, which is piaster67@hotmail.com. And that's P is in Paul, IA, S is in Sam, T is in tornado, ER67@hotmail.com. And I will guarantee you one thing. If you send me an email and you put mindset recovery in the subject line, you have questions, suggestions, you need some kind of referral to some program related thing or whatever it is, or just somebody who cares about you, I will answer that email. And, if nobody's told you today you're worth it, and, keep coming back. And this is Roberto signing off.